Hey Jay, how are you doing, mate?
Well, I'm bloody late for this thing, aren't I? Listen, we usually start
life. It's life, isn't it? Life gets in the way of everything. I just wondered what you've been up to this week, anyway. So
oh God, it's been
other than being busy.
Well, it's all cycling at this stage, really. Just getting ready for next Sunday.
So, what have you gone furthest up to this point?
That's 78 miles.
78 miles,
yeah. Yeah, I've got 112 to do on the actual day.
So how do you feel at 78 miles? Sore? Saddle sore?
Bit saddle sore. I think it's my lungs that are getting to me more than anything else. I think it depends on how...
You're doing a lot of hill stuff then, yeah?
Yeah, where the one in Wales is renowned to be quite hilly. So
have you done Parbold Hill yet?
Yes, I have.
How do you find that?
Well, I mean, after that, I'd gone up Parbold Hill after having cycled through Burscough and places all the way to Southport and then back. So I think I was about 37 miles in. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Yeah. I think your legs really start to feel it, but then also your balance. You notice more when your bike starts to veer off left to right. That you're getting tired. Yeah. So... Listen, all I can do is just see what happens on the day, really. Like, the hotel's booked and everything, so I'm just going to try and enjoy it as best I can.
If there's a way of enjoying it, I'm sure you'll find it.
The only way I think I could enjoy it is at the end, when I've finished it.
Yeah, when you fall over in a heap.
And when I look back on what's happened and then start to kind of feel good about what happened.
It's always the sense of achievement at the end, isn't it? That's bigger than the actual event itself.
Well, it is, yeah.
The build-up to it is probably more scary.
Yes, it is.
So when you actually get going, I suppose, a little bit like stage fright, isn't it, really? You get on stage and you've got a few nerves, haven't you, to start off with?
Yeah, you are. And I did a I did a sprint triathlon last Wednesday, which is why I couldn't I couldn't quite get to the show on Wednesday, and we recorded later because I'd gone up to Cape and Ray, which is just south of the Lake District.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Yeah. How was the recovery from that? Was it?
Oh, it was on the bike the next day.
You were on the bike the next day?
Yeah, just a half-hour recovery, but yeah, I felt absolutely fine. I felt like I could probably do another one again. But sprint triathlon was 500 metres swim, 17-kilometre bike, and then a 4-kilometre run, 4.5. And I'd done it in a not unrespectable time, and I felt fine. And that was me pushing it as well. So I could take my time a little bit more on this thing. But even so, they still have cut-off times. Yeah, you can't, take your sweet time on an Ironman, because roads still have to open and volunteers and marshals have their day jobs to go back to.
Yeah, listen, it's a real pity that you weren't sitting on the show earlier on today, obviously with work and what have you. But Lee Hill is also a strongman.
Is he?
Yeah, according to his bio.
Strongman or Ironman?
Oh, Ironman.
Because strongman is like lifting boulders.
Ironman.
Right, okay. Yeah.
What did they come up with?
I mean, a strongman could be an Ironman, but that'd take an awful lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Strongman's like Eddie Hall and...
Yeah, he's an Ironman.
Right, okay. Oh, God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's a high-performance coach, former soldier, 22 years, I think.
I knew he was a former soldier, in the army. I didn't know that he was a high-performance coach. Well, I might have to... If this thing all goes upside down and I don't end up finishing the Ironman, I'll have to go back to him for some tips. Yeah.
Or get him to coach you.
Damn straight. Get him to coach me.
Well, listen, we'll talk about him, obviously, in the show. But, yeah, so it's been an interesting week for me. First of all, my mum goes into hospital with pneumonia. And then a day later, my grandson goes in with breathing difficulties. Young Ezra, he's only 2 years of age. He's got 15 sets of allergies. Very sickly boy at the best of times. But thankfully, he's recovering well. I think my mum is as well. I think she's due home at any time.
Good.
But yeah, bit of a setback. So you're sort of chasing your tail a little bit here, there, and everywhere, and then trying to be as productive as you can in terms of producing the show ahead.
Yeah.
Making sure that we've got the right content for it. But so I've had little time to do anything else. I'm just trying to think what else I've been up to.
Done anything Skelmersdale United related?
Oh well, listen, I'm always on the ball with that.
This is true.
I went to training on Tuesday night, a really productive night, and funny really because James was called upon to do a little bit of goalkeeping.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did rather well, to be fair. James will be glad that I've mentioned him on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's deserved a shout out, to be fair to him.
But he managed to deflect one off his feet and it went right over into the trees. Give him his due. At the end of the training session, he went round the other side and he tried to find it. I tried to find it first of all, couldn't find it. But the reason why I couldn't find it was because it was actually up in the trees. So James managed to spot it.
Good.
Broke a few branches, wriggled the tree a little bit, and out came the coconut.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so
man of the match.
Well done to James.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Listen, I suppose at this point, really, we should be getting on with the show.
We should swan dive into it, shouldn't we? Let's go.
Get on with it. Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. I'm Frank Hughes, the chairman of Skelmersdale United Football Club, and alongside me is my co-host and passionate press officer, AJ the Jet. Not that being involved with the football club is a prerequisite for hosting a football podcast, but it certainly helps. We are ready to dive headfirst into the vibrant world of non-league football in the North West, and we might even take a moment to discuss some of the bigger headlines in the sport. We'll explore life in the North West counties, bring you interviews with well-known faces in the league, and analyse how local teams are performing while making bold predictions for their upcoming matches. Nothing is off the limits here. We'll be diving into all kinds of topics, including complicated refereeing decisions and regulations that often leave fans perplexed. We want to hear from you too. This is your show, so don't hesitate to reach out with topics you want us to tackle. Let's get this conversation started and enjoy every single moment. We are speaking frankly. Hello and welcome to episode 11, season 2 of the Speaking Frankly Football Show, and a very warm welcome to my co-host and the dulcet tones of AJ.
I'm not Barry White. Why do you carry
You've
on?
got such a smooth voice.
I know.
Controlled and smooth.
Do I? I hear myself listening on the radio and on the podcast. I'm like, what do you sound like? Absolute plonker.
Well, compared to me, I'm very raspy, aren't I?
Well,
loud.
You're not raspy. I mean, you're not Rod Stewart, but you know, it's a little bit of rasping.
I feel as though I'm raspy. It must be the headphones.
It probably is the headphones giving you a false sense of security.
Yeah. So anyway, what have we got coming up on the show?
Well, what we've got coming up on the show, obviously, we're going to check in on the northwest counties as we often do. We're going to check in on our usual local teams like Marine and Clitheroe and Southport. We're going to cover big news coming out of Darwen Football Club. We are also going to look ahead to the FA Cup weekend with some big fixtures going on. We're going to cover Skelmersdale United, as we always do, some bees. And then finally, we're going to do our usual fixtures, predictions and analysis. So we've got a bit of a show going on. As you'll already have noted, we do not have a guest on this show. But on episode 10, which was filmed earlier on today, we had Lee Hill, who was the former manager of Daisy Hill Football Club. Very explosive interview. So I would advise all of you to tune in and listen to it if you haven't already. But first...
Well, listen, he came over really well, great bloke. Was very careful with his words as he's actively seeking other opportunities within management.
Yeah.
But I thought at the same stage he was very respectful. Questions needed to be answered. I think he did that very well without throwing a smoke bomb in the room and leaving it. I think, we agreed in the show it's a results-based business at the end of the day. But my question is, would a non-content creator chairman given him more time? I think he would have. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, 100% he would have. I don't like to think that Lee's departure was on the basis of creating content and views and numbers. What I do want to think, though, is that Aaron Hunt may very well have wanted to bring his own man in. And I think the Lee will admit that the results were disappointing in some areas. I think they played 6, drawn 3 and lost 3. No, don't get me wrong, some of those were to some really good sides. Forward Amateurs are having a brilliant run.
Droylsden.
Droylsden as well. So teams that are very difficult on their day. But I would have certainly believed that Lee would have had more time, particularly given how much work he's put into keeping that club going. Like I said on the show last week, without Lee Hill, there really isn't a Daisy Hill to talk of. And I would, if it was me, if I was the chairman, I would have absolutely given Lee more time.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, like you say, he's brought Aaron to the football club, and basically you would feel really, really upset by the fact that you've given all that effort to bring somebody along, a saviour to the football club in many ways. And I know you just alluded to the fact there that you don't think it would have been a decision made to increase his content, but reading between the lines, he obviously on his TikTok or his stations or whatever they are, the YouTube, he was getting a fair amount of stick according to Lee.
Yeah, we talked about it when he'd live streamed the game on his Twitch account, and was in amongst the fans and was giving Lee some stick for some late game substitutes that he'd made. That consensus was that they'd cost them the result against Forward Amateurs, and obviously Lee has clarified that in his own interview.
But he knows he's getting filmed at this stage, doesn't he?
I think, yeah, I would hope that Lee is on his guard at all times about being filmed or being in the
No, but
the
I'm talking about Aaron when he's made the comment about the manager making the wrong substitutions at the wrong time. This is getting. I didn't actually see the footage of this, but this is on YouTube. Is it getting filmed?
I'm not sure what service it's on. I know it's on Twitch, but I think it's on another one as well. I have seen the footage, and yeah, he did question the decisions, to put it very diplomatically.
But it's not a good look, is it? I mean, listen, we all make comments in the heat of the moment. I certainly do as chairman of Skem when decisions or things aren't going quite the way I want them to go for Skem, and I'm sure I've said one or two cursory words about managers now or former managers in times gone by. I'd hate to think that somebody would pick up on it and film it. So in the heat of the moment, does he have to be more careful with what he says, or is that all part of the content? Does that draw a bigger audience in?
I think it does. I think it does draw more audiences in. I know that he had a big following anyway on the social medias because he'd taken over Daisy Hill, so they were a bit more synonymous with each other than what they used to be. I think he may have been doing this unnecessarily, and all he really indicated when he was making this content was that he had a bit of an axe to grind with how Lee was managing the team. That's all it looks like, unfortunately. And it's made a bit more of a soap opera out of stuff that actually, between a chairman and his manager, should be quite behind closed doors, really.
So as content creators, because we are ourselves, by the very fact that we're producing a podcast, and we do seek controversial stories ourselves, arguably to draw in a bigger audience.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that we do it with a bit of grace, but when you look at content, when it's drying up, I mean, Lee mentioned in the show there that Adam was obviously looking for another platform in which to create, because you've got to have content to create it, and taking over the running of a football club gave him that platform. But from that perspective, then, if the content is drying up a little bit, you have to maybe juice it up a little bit.
I think there's ways of doing that, to be honest. If you look at some of the really good sporting documentaries that we have, and I suppose the one that for me springs to mind is the Rugby Union, the British and Irish Lions.
I've not watched that yet.
Okay, so they tour one of the southern globe countries, South Africa, New Zealand, or Australia, every 4 years. And every single time they do, there's a documentary which goes behind the scenes in how they kind of plan the tournament, they plan the travel, they plan everything, and you see it from an organisation point of view, you see it from a coaching point of view, you look at the training that they do, you look at the the meetings that they have, the match meetings that they have. That's the kind of content that they could churn out if he felt so inclined, because there really isn't any behind the scenes checking in of a football club to the depth and to the level that Daisy Hill could have had if they'd kept Lee in charge and just followed him around with a camera and created the content that way. I think they just made it a bit more soap operatic by choosing to turn against him almost.
Have you ever watched I think we mentioned it on the last show, Marine did a series many moons ago. I think it was around about 1990 something.
1990 something.
Or other, yeah. There was a 6-part show. I think it was on ITV called Marine Lives. Very, you can pick it up on YouTube. It's available to watch. Nice. I think that was done more of an earthy side to it. About people chipping in for cups of teas and biscuits and things like that. It was really, really good series. But I feel as though, in many ways now, you have to be a little bit more controversial. I don't agree with it. I think we've seen a lot of content in recent. I think the Wrexham story sort of highlighted how you could do it with a little bit of grace and respect. Yeah.
I think you're right. I still haven't seen the Wrexham story, but from what, nobody's really spoken out against the ownership structure. And if you look at how Wrexham are doing business, their value as well as their income, it's all going up and up and up. And they're providing very well documented support across the board to the management, to the players, to everybody that works there. Now that's how you do it well, I suppose.
And in contrast, there, Birmingham did it complete opposite way. Brady, what's his name?
Tom Brady.
He made controversial comments about Wayne Rooney. He knew at some stage that was going to come out. It makes you wonder whether you're forced into getting rid of him before it comes out then.
I think Wayne Rooney was a manager that was brought in particularly for his name. There'd not been very much to suggest that Wayne Rooney was qualified or capable of running a club at that level, and he really didn't last long. And Birmingham ended up getting relegated. So to hire a big name and to try and make something a bit soap operatic about it can come back and bite you on the backside.
Well, I think all these fly-on-the-wall documentaries are going to be pretty much similar. The class of 92, we watched boardroom meetings there and discussions on whether they were going to give their managers more time. And they went through a string of managers, over a short period of time before they got it relatively right.
They did, but we didn't see that with Daisy Hill.
No,
we never did, and I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity, particularly at the level that they're at. we have these documentaries about the big clubs where there's maybe a bit more of an enigma about it. But it's ideal to do it at a smaller club, particularly because it's just not a known thing.
Listen, I've watched a lot of Aaron Hunt's content, if you like, for want of a better word, and I've enjoyed a fair amount of it. Some of it's toilet humour, which I don't really share. I think you can do it in a better way. What I didn't realise was, and I think I mentioned it on the show, was initially we were going to have Lee and Aaron on the show, or certainly Lee, and then he did a U-turn, and the reason for that was because it said something untoward about, I'm assuming about him. I did question, I did say I don't understand how people can make a lot of money out of recording themselves on FIFA or PlayStations. I don't quite understand that. I don't think at 58 years of age I'm supposed to. I certainly don't understand why my own sons are so heavily involved in it, but that's sort of the more modern way of life. Although I do think Aaron got his own back at home, and I didn't realise there was an issue between us, but he certainly got his own back when he turned around and mentioned about who puts coleslaw on ham sandwiches, knowing quite well probably that it was my wife that was doing all the hospitality.
Which is still a match winner. He's just being a bit dramatic, wasn't he? There's one thing to kind of question how you can make money when you're not quite sure, but it's another to kind of just slate the catering at somewhere that you've been invited to. It's not classy. No.
But would you be put off by bringing a social media influencer into Skelmersdale United Football Club?
I think we'd need to do a very big amount of due diligence and got to know this person first. I think it's one thing to bring someone in to save a sinking ship, which... Great respect to Daisy Hill and to Lee, but Daisy Hill was a bit of a sinking ship and it would have gone out of business at the end of that season. It's another thing completely to do it to Skelmersdale United, who are, by all accounts, floating, is the term that we've used. And
we're not in threat of foreclosure or anything like that. No, Daisy Hill, arguably they were talking about joining a lower division, similar to what we're in now, where there's less finance involved in running the club at that level.
Yeah.
So maybe they would have stayed together had, but then the expectation, you've been you're a founder member of the North West Counties. You've been there since 1982, I think it is. Quick estimation is that 43 years, something like that.
43 years.
43 years. It's a long time to throw it back and then end up in the say West Lancs League, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
So it would have been a difficult choice for him to make.
Yeah, of course it would have. It was sink or swim, unfortunately, but he did what he had to do, and I respect him for that. Unfortunately, and Lee will probably say it better, that it hasn't turned out the way that he had hoped it would, but I think his legacy will be, and I certainly hope that it is, his legacy will be that he brought about the changes that saved Daisy Hill and kept them going for long into the future.
Yeah, well, listen, that's all you can hope. And listen, we know, because you and I have spoken about it before, I've approached content creators in the past, and I'm quite excited by the idea of bringing somebody into the football club that could influence us on a social media platform. Whether we'd go down the route of full-on ownership, a lot of things would have to be changed to make that happen. I think I'd sooner see something like a pseudo kind of ownership, where somebody learns the ropes of how to run a football club, to see whether it is something that they'd like to do further down the line.
True.
But listen, other than that, if you've got to really go and listen to the podcast with Lee Hill, it's very revealing, and very respectfully done at the same time. But we move on for now.
Yeah, we do, and we'll drop in on the Northwest Counties first of all, and we'll start at the top. So Padiham are still leading the way in the Premier League with a perfect record, 6 wins from 6 games. Their most recent one was a last gasp, I think it was, was it a 2-1 win? Against Abbey Hay last Saturday, to Bradley Knox and Jason Hart getting the goals that saw them come away from Manchester with all 3 points.
Yeah, and they followed that up with a fine win against Glossop North End, 3-1 on Tuesday night.
Yes, they did.
In front of another respectful sort of audience of respectable, I should say, 328.
Yeah,
they're doing well, aren't they, with the Gates?
They're getting big numbers. They really are. And one of the things that I said at the end of last season is that they will... I think that they would flourish an awful lot more if they kept Josh Briggs, who was their top goal scorer last season. He's obviously left now. He's gone to FC St Helens and he's doing really well. But equally, so are Padiham. And it doesn't appear to be like they've got one goal scorer who's just carrying them through it. They had 3 different goal scorers in that game against Glossop North End, and then 2 completely different scorers in the game against Abbey Hay. So 5 different goal scorers overall, but 6 points to carry on their perfect unbeaten run.
Still early doors, but they're looking really, really well. As are Burscough. They're nicely placed in second place, only 4 points behind Padiham, but Padiham do have that 1 game in hand.
Yeah, they do. So Burscough, let's see, where did they get up to? So they played Exton Villa on Tuesday night, visited the Jim Fowler Memorial Ground, and they came away with a 1-0 win, a win that Dave Dempsey describes as being quite a fortunate win. Feels that Exton Villa were unlucky not to take anything from the game, but it's
quite an honest assessment, that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the longer the season goes on, it's these kind of clutch moments, if you like, these vital 3-pointers where they maybe rode their luck a little bit more, that could be very, very telling between automatic promotion, then the playoffs, or just middle of the table.
And you do earn your luck, don't you? There's no doubt about that as well.
I think you're probably right, yeah. I think Burscough have probably earned the right to have a little bit of luck on their side after having had such a strong end to last season and a strong start to this season.
At Glossop North End, it doesn't get much easier for Richard Brodie, really. His team lost against Pilks 4-0 last Saturday, and then 3-1 to the leaders on Tuesday, Padiham. But I think he went on record as saying that the result against Pilks was totally unacceptable, but he was pleased with the team's application against the leaders.
Yeah.
So there's a bit hit and miss, but they've lost their leading goal scorer as well, haven't they? Did they lose him? Has he gone on for pastures new?
You tell me. You'd know more about that than me. Unfortunately, it's been a difficult one for Brodie, as we talked about with him in the second ever episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show. Up there, in the Great North of Glossop, it is quite remote. There's not much in the way of neighbouring footballing communities, and Glossop are by far and away the kind of the peak of Derbyshire and football in the remote area like that. So players and reinforcements are difficult to come by for them. But he still will, regardless, be disappointed of what his team have churned out so far, which 1 win and 2 draws from their opening 8 games with 5 losses, and quite a leaky defence, unfortunately. 18 goals shipped, which is a record that only a handful of teams around him have got worse off. But I think it's the goal scoring, I think, that is the biggest difficulty for them as well. Just 3 teams have a worse record in front of goal than the North Enders, and I don't think, from what you've been saying, Frank, that situation is going to be improved by a recent departure. Is that correct?
They lost Lewis Riley. They've wished him well. He's moved on. I don't know whether it's job related, whether he's going abroad or not. Not too sure. He's gone on. He was scoring quite a few goals, wasn't he, Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis Riley had. I think he had got a few goals to his name. I'm just bringing up the statistics on him now. I know that he was quite prolific towards the end of last season. Yeah, he'd managed 5 goals this season. So of the 9 that they'd scored, he'd counted for 5 of them from 9 appearances. So losing
clearly
him,
a big loss.
It's a big blow, unfortunately, for North End, and they're going to have their work cut out trying to replace him.
And we do know it's the silly season. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that's going to happen, but I'd like to think they'd give him a bit longer if that's the case, because it is tough. Recruitment over that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
We mentioned the hours that he spends travelling backwards and forwards. I think
from Southport, yeah.
Yeah, and when if you're thinking of replacing anybody like that, you have to remember that you have to get somebody that's going to put that extra mileage in. In many ways, but
literally and mentally as well.
Yeah. So just looking at the bottom of the North West Counties Premier Division, pretty much what we expected at this time of the season. FC Isle of Man, Remaker down the bottom there on 4 points.
Yeah.
AFC Liverpool, probably wasn't expecting them to be in the lower reaches.
No,
it's been a sort of a difficult start for Ben Barnes as well. Two games and 2 defeats since he's moved there.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, but I think AFC Liverpool were always going to be a bit of a well, we called them the Jekyll and Hyde Club last season, didn't we? Because of how well they'd finished in the table, but their wins to losses ratio was very, very close.
They almost had an identical record, didn't they, in terms of wins, losses, goals for and goals against?
Near enough, and I think it was something that they'd tried to get rid of, most notably by bringing in Ben Barnes. So last week they'd gone to Ramsbottom and lost 4-1. I mean, that's not... I know that they would have wanted to have made a better go of it, and on paper that one is a bit of a difficult scoreline to comprehend. I think it probably just goes to show how good Ramsbottom are. An Elliot Taylor goal in the last minute of the game, merely scant consolation. But then on Tuesday they followed that up with a 2-1 defeat away at home to Charnock Richard. Elliot Taylor with a penalty putting them ahead, but that lead only lasted 2 minutes before Charnock Richard's own prolific goal scorer, Nathan Nikias, reducing that lead to nothing after 2 minutes after Elliot Taylor's goal, and then Fenton Davis on the stroke of half-time grabbing what proved to be the winning goal. Very difficult for AFC Liverpool at the minute. You can sort of reasonably tell that Elliot Taylor is their goal scoring figurehead, and one they maybe lean on for the goals. He's got 8 goals in 10 games. Caleb Jones has got 5 goals in 10 games, but the defence needs a lot of shoring up, it would seem.
The Gates look as though they've dropped marginally. 118,
in the game against Charnock Richard. Obviously, we don't know how many.
It is a midweek game, of course, isn't it?
Yeah, midweek game, so it could very well be
lower, don't think.
It may well look a little bit closer to 150 on any given home game, but nonetheless, a lot of work for AFC Liverpool to do. But maybe Ben signing for them will turn the tide for them.
Yeah, let's certainly hope so. So, there anything more you want to talk about in the Premier Division?
Yeah, I wanted to look at a couple of games, really. So, on Tuesday night, Atherton LR hosted Chadderton in a game that would have been eagerly anticipated as 2 teams vying towards the top end of the table in itself.
Incidentally, both teams will be competing in the FA Cup, the last 2 remaining clubs in the North West Counties.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, we'll come to that later.
Well, magnificent. But Chadderton, who were sitting in 8th currently, Atherton LR in 11th, both with really strong starts to the season, and it was a really, really tight game at Crilly Park. Not much in the way of open-edged chances. Both teams very well known for having quite a rigid defensive record, and in fact the only goal of the game came from Lewis Byrne, the very prolific Lewis Byrne. That's his 11th goal of the season. He scored from the penalty spot after an hour. He's played 8 games.
Wow.
He's 8 games, and he scored 11 goals in there. LR did have a couple of chances to equalise. I think maybe the one that they should have had was actually a mistake made by the referee. So as Atherton have played a through ball to Harvey Sample, he's through on goal, but the referee pulls it back for a foul on an Atherton LR player. So, in fact, had he played the advantage, Harvey Sample would have almost certainly scored. It was a really perfect through ball. Sample was onto it in a flash.
Did we see the VO coverage of it?
I did see the VO coverage, and had he played advantage, absolutely it would have been.
Is it one of them split-second things where he's blown and he's gone?
Well...
Or is it a bit more blatant?
I don't want to say that it was blatant. I think it was just a really, really poor error in judgment.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think that would have partly cost LR a share of the spoils, but I don't think Davy Jones could have had... I would hope that he wouldn't have had too much of a complaint. It was a really, really tight game, nonetheless.
Case a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show, that great victory against Atherton Coles, do you think? Would it be coming down after that?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just that Chadderton are actually a really good side, and maybe we don't quite speak about it as much on the show. I mean, we forget that they were leading the table for a huge chunk of the first part of the season before Byrne made his way up to Bury, and he's come back and he's firing on all cylinders for them. There was a slight bit of contention about the penalty. It didn't look like Joe Bickerstaff had tripped the Chadderton player in the box. From the angle that I was looking at, it did look a bit of a suspect movement by the Chadderton player.
I'm saying after the Lord Mayor's show, but of course they got back to winning ways anyway, didn't they? In the Northwest Counties, they beat Cheadle, didn't they, away from home? So yeah, they're doing relatively well. And we'll talk about the next game because they'll be absent from league proceedings as they enter the next round of the FA Cup, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, the last game that I want to talk to you about is City of Liverpool versus Earlham. So City of Liverpool at the minute are sitting 20th in the standings, having been relegated from the Northern Premier League West at the end of last season. They've moved to a new home in the form of the Community Ground at Burscough, and they'd done extremely well against Earlham and were 2-0 up going into half-time. And then an altercation happened between Fidan Hajari of City of Liverpool and Earlham's Alex Francis. There's a bit of a tangle, and both players were sent off. And as they've gone down the tunnel, the situation has escalated. A fight has broken out, which has required the attention of both sets of players and the management team. And the referee has abandoned the game at half-time, with City of Liverpool leading 2-0.
Well, we don't like to see games abandoned, do we?
Certainly don't. No.
And I've watched a few, including one that could have, a couple of seasons ago, could have well happened to us. That would have been the end of the game, but yeah, fisticuffs after a game or during a game, never comfortable with me. I don't like to see violence.
It's never healthy at all. There's been no word from the FA or the Northwest Counties as to whether as to when that game will be played or whether there's going to be any punishment handed out to either.
So
of the
it was abandoned at half time.
It was abandoned at half time. Yeah, the incident had taken place right on the stroke of half time. Both players had a man sent off, and those two men down the tunnel had escalated proceedings to the point where the referee felt that the game needed to be abandoned. Healthy turnout as well. 131 fans had made their way over there. And a tenner a ticket.
On a Tuesday night as well.
On a Tuesday night.
I take it none of the spectators got involved in any of this?
No. It was all... it was just the players.
I wonder whether they'll be forced into playing the replay behind closed doors?
It's a possibility. I've never heard that happen before at this level. But obviously you'll have more history and knowledge of that than I
can't remember the last time, and maybe somebody will inform us, the last time a North West Counties football match got abandoned.
Yeah.
Interesting to know.
If you are a North West Counties historian and you are listening to this and you have knowledge,
Kevin Lawton is, so he could possibly tell us what's.
Yeah, if you are, please write into us at We Are Not the Racist Serbian League who has to play behind closed doors. Dalton Skelmersdale.
Yeah, very good.
Anyway,
right, so listen, do we move on to Division 1 North?
Let's move on to Division 1 North, and we're going to go to Brocksteeds Park, home of Ashton Athletic.
All right.
Yeah.
Go on.
So Ashton Athletic
Shouldn't be by surprise there.
Opened the season with a really good win over Daisy Hill, have now lost their last 4 games and are bottom of the division. MSB Walton and Daisy Hill are on the same points as just above Ashton, but only on goal difference, so it's obviously very tight at the bottom. Ashton do have cause for a bit of positivity though, in that the Nicholson brothers, Jamie and Josh Nicholson, have both returned to the club this week, therefore bolstering their attacking prowess.
Where have they been?
So, I believe they were both at FC St Helens until very, very recently, but made their moves back to Ashton in Makerfield earlier this week, and they're going to be linking up with Declan Hill, the top goal scorer of Ashton Athletic last season, who himself departed for pastures new. He went to Barnton in the off-season, but he's now back, and the Nicholson brothers are now back. So maybe the tide will start to turn for Ashton Athletic after a few really disappointing results, the most recent of which came over the weekend when they were beaten 2-0 away at Holker Old Boys. Tom Dawson double there, securing the points for the Cumbrian side.
They're not getting battered, are they?
They are not getting battered. No, it's very tight games. I think is probably
the scoring's the issue there. Obviously,
the goal scoring was the issue. Yeah, even Hill is finding it a little bit difficult. Their top scorer is Emmanuel Uwachuku, who's got 3 goals from 6 games, and other than a single solitary goal from William Adams, no one else on the Ashton Athletic squad has scored a goal.
I'm talking about turning the tide. Daisy Hill, who we've talked about at the top of the show there, they've got a new manager in the shape of Nicky Hunt. He was the assistant manager at, remind me?
No.
Atherton
Collieries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've managed. We spoke to. We spoke on the show last week to the manager of Coles, and he. I don't think would he have been aware that Nicky Hunt had gone at that stage? Oh, he was, wasn't he?
He was aware. Yeah, he was aware that discussions were being had.
Yeah.
And he was very, very amicable about it. You know, he wished him all the very best. I think they're as thick as thieves off the pitch.
Big friends.
Yeah, big friends indeed.
So what do you think? Do you think Nicky Hunt can turn the tide there? Ex-professional, 100 and odd games in the Premier Division.
100 and odd games in the Premier Division doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have success down at this level. I mean, we saw that as much with Pascal Chimbonda, and there have been other players who've come down to sort of the non-league level.
Work for them.
Nobby Solano being sort of a prime example of that. So from Daisy Hill's perspective, it didn't start out particularly well for Nicky Hunt on Saturday. So his Daisy Hill side lost 1-0 at home to Nelson. In front of a good following, actually. 150 turned out at the Ginger Power Stadium to see Max Kane scoring the only goal of the game 9 minutes from time. I think, again, he's going to need time, isn't he? He's going to need time to...
Well, Nelson have had a bit of a revival, haven't they? So
they certainly have, yeah. So
it could happen.
Yeah, they have. So Nelson, as we talked about a couple of episodes ago, pardon me, they dispensed with the services of their manager, and actually brought back in an old one, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one because Nelson we looked at the sort of early doors. We didn't think, we thought there could be relegation fodder at one stage, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean it had been kind of that start to the season for them, unfortunately, and I think by Nelson's own standards, they'd set the bar really high, and perhaps too high for them to maintain. We obviously know that they had lost Charlie Frost in the off season. He rejected a new contract with the club, but then they ended up bringing is it Jerry Harrison? Jerry Harrison, he's come back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a difficult start, didn't they? They lost 5-0 away to Holker. Then they managed to beat AFC Blackpool 2-1, but then a big defeat by the informed McGull. They lost 5-1 to them. But since then, they've managed to progress into the next round of the FA Vars, and they've had 3 league victories since. So it's a big turnaround for them.
Yeah, they are starting to turn it around, and in doing so, they've managed to climb up to, I think it's about 3rd or 4th in the table or something.
Somewhere.
Yeah, they are. They're 3rd. Yeah, they're 3rd in the table after a couple of wins. The most recent of which was a 2-0 win up at Bacup Borough, a bit of a local derby by all accounts. Really, Luke Heppel scoring after an hour there, and then Finlay Devaney with an 80th minute penalty. Again, in front of a decent turnout there, 157 on a Wednesday night to see that game go down. They do have, I wouldn't necessarily call it disappointing news, but after 4 games with the club, Nick Heppel has decided that his time with Nelson is over, and he's moving on to pastures new. Doesn't say where, but he isn't with the squad anymore. He's just leaving his brother Luke to carry on the family name.
Yeah, I'm getting confused by all the Heppels.
Well, there's only 2. Luke was the one who played for Blackpool for the full extent of last season and was absolutely brilliant, and we regarded him as like one of the best attackers.
Yeah, most definitely.
Whereas Nick is the one who played for Wythenshawe and Nelson and AFC Blackpool just last season.
All right, so he was a bit of a journeyman. But listen, should we go to the top of the division? Because we talked about Droylsden early on, and we believe them to be one of the favourites.
We certainly did.
And they've made a relatively poor start to the season, but now they've gone 4 games, consecutive wins, and now top of the Division 1 North. Taking over from McGull.
Yeah, they are.
Who lost 5-2 to Thornton Cleveland.
That's not a result that I think we ever thought was going to happen. I think both of us had it down that thought that McGull were going to win that game. Unfortunately, Luke Noble decided to help himself to 4 goals on the filed coastline. His first after 42 minutes, and then got a hat-trick in the second half in front of a really good crowd as well. 256 turning out to watch that game. Darren Brannigan and Sam Smith scoring the goals for visiting McGull in a performance that Joey referred to as unacceptable, to say the least.
Yeah, listen, it gives them a chance to give their heads a wobble. You know, if they were thinking they'd become Billy Big Time, then they've certainly not that he'd have allowed them to do that, but. Thornton Cleveland's, I think you mentioned it on last week's show, it's one of those places, isn't it, where it can attract a fair few people from different areas. It's in a good position. Yeah,
it is. In a weird way, it's a little bit remote. So on that filed coastline, you've got AFC Blackpool, you've got Squires Gate, But then about 10 or 15 minutes up the road, you've got Thornton Cleveland's. Now it's a nice place to go. You know, it's quite a pretty town by all accounts. I didn't go to the stadium for the game at Thornton Cleveland's.
Well, it's right next door to Fleetwood's training ground.
Wow.
And that's spectacular, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, okay. But it probably shows that the position that they're in, where if you, by footballing accounts, you've got Fleetwood and you've got Blackpool as the professional clubs, but that's about it. You haven't really got anything kind of beyond there, or even in field. So the good attraction there is Thornton Cleveland's Football Club, and they're well backed and well supported.
Yeah. A little bit of totally useless information. If memory serves me correct, Thornton Cleveland's is the home of B&M's. That's where it all started.
Is it?
I might be wrong. Somebody will obviously... Yeah, somebody will knock me down there and tell me I'm wrong,
bonkers.
But I feel as though I'm right.
Yeah.
I need to check on that one. But if anybody knows the truth, can tell me exactly when they were formed and at what stage they opened up in Thornton Cleveland's, and if indeed I am correct. And I don't know whether.
Yeah.
Are you busy there trying to Google that then?
No, I was Googling why Luke Heppel had left Nelson.
But no, nothing.
No, I've got it. We just moved on. It's actually really unfortunate, and to be fair to him, he's been very forthcoming about it. He's written a statement saying, "I hate writing this because people see from an outside view and don't know the situation. I want to wish Nelson FC all the best. I didn't want to leave and they didn't want me to leave either. And I still don't want to leave. But with wage cuts, I can't afford to travel due to living 1 hour 20 minutes away and train twice a week and play when I have the real world at home with mortgages. All the lads and everyone at the club are class. I was settled there and wasn't fed one thing and then fed another thing like other clubs previously. Hopefully I settle somewhere and don't get messed around and fed crap." Yeah. So
listen, I can understand that. I remember Tommy once telling me that when he was told that he had to reduce the budget at Skem many moons ago, one of the players came up to him and said, "Listen, I bought the car off the back of my wages."
Oh.
He was on a contract at the time and he had to rip up his contract and let him go. Eventually he went, but listen, we don't see that side of it. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're getting £20 or £100.
Yeah.
It helps towards paying the bills, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah.
So I totally sympathise there.
Yeah, so do I. So
particularly if you're travelling. I know a lot of players, they might be on, £60, £70, but they probably spend a lot more going to training.
They probably do,
and travelling to the games itself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know how many of the players get paid mileage on top of their fixed wages.
Won't be any at North West Counties level.
It's quite rare, isn't it? And I think from Heppel's perspective, he was going over to Nelson, but I think he lives somewhere on the coastline, in Blackpool or somewhere.
Yeah, I think they're the Blackpool based.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but nonetheless,
dare I say, can his brother give him a lift? Sorry, is that me being insensitive?
Oh, I don't know about that, but it depends on their situations, really, doesn't it? But nonetheless, he's been honest and open about it, and he hasn't slagged the club off either. No, he hasn't, and I really think he would have wanted to stay there had he been able to, had the logistics kind of allowed him to be able to do that. But nonetheless, he's now without a club, and he's on the lookout for his 15th club in his career.
Yeah. How long would it take to get from Blackpool to Skem? To Liverpool, actually, where we play.
Well, Blackpool to Liverpool.
It wouldn't take that long. It wouldn't be as... Mind you, I don't know, Nelson? Yeah, it's probably a little bit further.
It's probably a bit further. I don't think...
No.
I don't think we'd be able to
no, just throwing it out there.
So yeah, Luke, if you're listening, just drop us a message. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Listen, we might be able.
It's like signing Ibrahimovic, isn't it? Really, when you're a league.
I was just going to say that we might be able to afford to buy you bubble gum.
Yeah, we can't. We've got to be sensible. But
well, listen, it makes. even things more dramatic. The fact that Nelson sacked the manager because results weren't going that well.
Yeah.
They've managed to reduce the budget as well as sack the manager, and they bounced back up the table. That's incredible.
They're bouncing back up the table. So after that game against Daisy Hill, they had the game against Bacup Borough, won that by 2-0. So it's all looking a little bit more rosier for Nelson. Whether they can stay there and whether they can kind of prolong that, I'm not sure. But time will tell.
Moving on to Darwen.
Moving on to Darwen. Yes, the other club in the East Lancs area. It is with regret that the club has announced the resignation of manager Leighton Mills over the weekend. We'd like to thank Leighton and his team for everything, and we wish him all the best in his future endeavours. Now, it's a really unfortunate storyline, is this one, because Leighton Mills was much loved at the Multivo Anchor Stadium in Darwen, where he'd led the team into, I think it was about 7th or 8th place they'd finished last season. It was really high.
They were in the playoffs at one stage, weren't they?
They may, unfortunately I think they just dropped out, and Exton Villa snuck in there, but they were really close to it. Had a bit of a galaxy of stars. Bruno Severino is a major component of there. They had Leon Creech, who's now doing extremely well in the Northern Prem West. They'd had some really good players coming in off that.
And the stories were last season that they were paying sort of Northern Premier League wages.
Yeah.
So a big budget to them. Even now with it reduced, I'm assuming it'll still be a big budget.
Well, this is part of it. So Leighton Mills then released a statement of himself saying, "I wasn't expecting to be announcing my resignation from Darwen. Following our 1-1 draw with Fulwood on Saturday, I had an unexpected meeting with the owner-chairman, who informed me Darwen FC were no longer able to offer the 25-26 player budget as agreed to in pre-season due to sponsor issues, leaving me with less than half of the initial agreed budget and a squad of players meeting said budget. 2 options were proposed to me. Sit my team down and tell them we need to halve their weekly wages with immediate effect, or release our players and start afresh. Neither of these proposed options sat right with me. I have too much respect for my lads to ask them to play for a wage that does not match their abilities on the pitch." So immediately there from the off, he's he's making it very, very plain as to just how and why this matter has come about. But it's another one that is not able to deal with the financial demands that it has put itself in by signing much vaunted players for less money than what they're able to, for more money, than what they were able to afford, really. Mills goes on to say that over the last 12 months, Connor and the management team have put our hearts and souls into developing a squad which can compete in the top 5 of the league. I strongly believe the squad we had the ability to go far in Northwest Counties, and we were so excited to see what we could achieve. But unfortunately, this has now come to an end. I want to thank everyone at Darwen FC for welcoming me, my management team, and my ideas to the club a little over 12 months ago. I wish the club and the new manager nothing but success for the rest of the campaign. As much as I am devastated to have left an incredible club, I know it's the right decision for me. Now, Darwen have actually confirmed his replacement. So the interim management team are Nathan Bond and Ben Langford. So both of them have played for the club, either currently or previously. Nathan Bond with over 130 appearances for the club and playing in near enough every position apart from goalkeeper, and Ben Langford who's played 93 games for the club, and they'll be joined by Chris Holland, who was a former Preston North End and Newcastle player, and James Nichol, who returns to the club in a coaching capacity.
Very much a sleeping giant, Darwen.
Yeah, they are.
They just don't seem to have any luck. They've got that new, well, say relatively new. They've got the plastic pitch, which you'd assume is making money for them.
That was my very first away game actually in the league. Was visiting Darwen. I think we'd gone.
Really nice setup.
Oh, it's a gorgeous setup, amazing stadium. That stand that they've got that's running along the full length, it's absolutely stunning. So a lot of expectations on Darwen going into this season, and unfortunately they're now playing on a reduced budget. So it'll be very interesting to see what the fallout is from that in the squad, whether the squad continues to buy in to the new management team on the interim, or whether they're going to look for pastures new for teams that can afford their wages. But between them and Nelson, they're having to deal with expectations that they may have set themselves too high.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah, listen, we'll probably hear more about that story as it goes along. You just hope that when they bring a new manager in on a permanent basis, it gives them that little bit of spark and gets them back up there. I'd like to see the older clubs do well, and particularly Darwen, who, likes, as with Nelson, played in the Football League once upon a time. So,
I heard about that.
We'll keep an eye on that as it goes on. But listen, North West Counties Division 1 South. Leaders Telford Town lost the first league game to Shawbury United on Wednesday night.
It's a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, it certainly was. And with Stafford Town beating Alsager 4-0 away from home on Tuesday night, they slipped to second place. But then with Runcorn beating Camelaird 2-1 on Wednesday night, Runcorn went top. So it's now Runcorn, Stafford and Telford in that order. Now, we're hoping to have Telford's manager Matthew Boswell on the show next week, because it's still a remarkable story. I'd like to hear more and know about whether the competition between the two teams in the town helps them or hinders them. AFC Telford.
AFC Telford, they're quite high in the non-league setup, aren't they?
I don't know where they are now.
No, I've seen them around a bit. That's interesting.
Yeah, forget the pregnant pause because we Google.
Sorry about that.
As most people would do.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Yeah, the 16th National League North, you're
16th in the National League North. Yeah.
So they're struggling themselves a little bit, but in terms of gates, they've always had pretty good support. So it must be difficult for a team like Telford Town to compete against teams like that. But they're certainly doing it in the North West Counties in the first season, and you just hope that they can... they can kick on from that.
Sustain that, 100%.
And sort of get back to winning ways after maybe a disappointing defeat. I don't know what are we looking? Shawbury, middle of the table, so it wasn't a big major shock or anything?
No, but I mean, Shawbury's finished second from bottom, I think, last season, so they've actually had a bit of a decent turnaround.
Yeah, they've done that.
And the rest. So they
4 wins, 3 defeats.
4 wins with 3 defeats is that's very good. To be fair to them, so we got to wonder what Shawbury United were doing in the off season to churn out these kind of results, because I didn't predict this. I thought Telford would kind of swap their way to victory. And I mean that in the greatest respect possible to Shawbury United.
So there's no one with an unbeaten record there in the Division 1 South now. Runcorn Town lost again the other week, but now they've returned to the top again. We talk about them quite often because we think they're going to do particularly well.
Yes,
I think I predicted they're going to win the league. Not too sure, but yeah. So out of all 3 divisions now, Padiham are the only one with a perfect record.
They certainly are. 8 wins from 8. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, not only do they have the perfect record, but they're the only side that's without a loss this season. So it'll be interesting to see how long they can sustain that for. But the fact is that they've... despite the loss of Briggs in the off season, they're clearly made of much more than just him.
Just looking at the bottom of the table, Hormond, Hormond.
Is it Hormond?
Hormond or Homond? Either pronunciation.
Did we have that confirmed by somebody within Hormond or Homond?
No.
Frank.
I googled it. This morning.
Oh, you spoil sport.
So I think it's H-A-W, Hormond, or H-O-W, Hormond.
Hormond or Hormond.
Hormond. Yeah, but I'm going to call it Hormond from now on.
I'm just going to wait for somebody to clarify that who actually lives in the town of Hormond.
I don't think anybody's listened to the show whatsoever from Hormond.
Well, no, but I mean, if you are listening to the show and you're from the town of Hormond, Harmond, Homond or Hormond, please message in and we are addressed at "You're pronouncing our bloody town wrong," Dalton, Skelmersdale.
But listen, looking at them there at plumb bottom, only 19 teams in the division. It's not looking particularly good for them. Somewhat reminiscent of our season last season, because at the beginning of the season, I think we managed to get them 2 back-to-back draws, really, or
we did
close to.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. We did.
And we were looking pretty much the same with 8 games, 2 points to our name. But there's not a lot of points. There's a lot of points between the bottom 4 anyway, really, is there?
There isn't. I think what Hormond, Harmond, Hoffman, Harmond have to their name is the fact that they're actually scoring goals. They've scored 14 goals, which is it's better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's better than the next 6 teams above them. Better than the next 6 teams above them. So you have to kind of question what on earth their defence is doing. Well, because they're by far and away the joint leakiest defence, matched only by Wolverhampton Sporting Community, who themselves were spared the relegation last season.
And the comparisons there, New Mills and Stockport Georgians, who are 4th and 5th respectively, they have only scored 16 goals, and Barton, who are in 6th, have only scored 14. But like you say, it's the amount of goals. It's a little bit like what we were shipping last season.
I'm afraid so.
A lot of goals, and it's obviously that the defence has got to be shored up a little bit. The defence does have to.
Yeah, this is the AFC Liverpool conundrum all over again. Really, is that the defences will win you games, despite whatever your strikers are doing up at the far end, and Hormond just haven't seemed to got that. Do not seem to have that in their locker. At this moment in time, which is obviously deeply frustrating for them. Jack Lewis has got 3. Ethan Pickford's got 8 goals in 9 games. So that's where the goals are coming from. Jack Lewis and Harvey Lewis both on 3. Kean Garbutt on 2. They've got some goals behind them, and no mistake. Just really need to sort out the defence.
I was just looking there when you mentioned the fact that who's the goal scorer again?
Ethan Pickford.
On 8 goals. I was just trying to find out there. I was trying to Google where Hormond is, and it's too far away to do a deal. But
you know what? Stoke or something like that, is he?
It's Shrewsbury.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Very south.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll come to at the end of the show. We'll come to the fixtures ahead.
Yes, we will.
For the season. We'll give our predictions, but we're briefly going to move on to the FA Cup, because it is FA Cup weekend.
It is.
Only teams from the Northwest counties that are featuring in the second qualifying round are Atherton LR and Chadderton. Both have tough away ties to Macclesfield and FC United, respectively. LR, who beat their neighbours Coles in the last round, will be relishing this tie, and it looks as though with over 250 supporters making the trip, they're looking forward to a really good day out, and regardless of whether they win, lose or draw, they should expect a decent cut of a extremely sizable gate, I would imagine.
I would have thought so, yeah. So Macclesfield's gate is it's about 4,000, 5,000?
Yeah, I don't think they'll get that for the FA Cup. They tend not to for these early rounds, but you never know.
No, you do never know. And even then, LR will be... they'll have a great day out. They really will. At Macclesfield, it is still really symbolic of a terrific time within the club's era, and it'll just be amazing for them. I think after the game that they've just had, you wonder whether that would be pre-match nerves going into the Macclesfield game, but Davy Jones will be saddling his troops up for a big game on this one, and they may even feel that they can win after their exploits against Coles.
And listen, they're winnable games, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I know Macclesfield have started reasonably well in the Northern Premier League proper.
There's always a shock somewhere along, isn't it? I
There
mean,
is.
I know Atherton LR, when they beat Coles, that was a bit of a shock.
The manner in which they beat Coles was the more appropriate, shocking thing.
Yeah.
They scored 5. So they've got the attack there to do it, and we know that Davey likes to set up with a good rigid defence.
And they defend well, yeah.
They do defend well. So, I mean, yeah, if you are Macclesfield, you're going to write off Atherton LR at your peril. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So, listen, looking at one or two of the other sort of local fixtures, AFC Fylde versus Bamber Bridge.
Yeah, just down the M55 there, that one.
Yeah. An interesting one there, AFC Totton versus Torquay United. I'm assuming Totton is Devon, is it?
Sure, why not?
So it'll be
Geography
an
was
old,
never my strong point.
it'll be an old Devon derby, that.
The Devonshire derby.
Yeah. Ashton United versus Scarborough Athletic at home.
That's not a local derby, but nonetheless, that's a really good tie for both these teams. So Scarborough Athletic are in the National League. Are they in the National League North? Or the National... They're in the National League North, aren't they?
Northern Premier League Division.
Are you sure? Scarborough Athletic?
Scarborough. No, you're right. They're in the...
I know where Ashton are. Ashton are in the Northern
sorry, I
Prem.
thought you were talking about them. Yeah,
they're in the Northern Prem.
Yeah, they're in the... Yeah.
So that'd be a great tie for Ashton United.
National League North, Scarborough.
So
Bootle versus Darlington, another interesting tie.
Yeah.
Difficult game for Bootle.
It's going to be a very difficult game for Bootle, but I think they'll relish the opportunity there.
It'll be interesting to see whether they have a good following there.
You would hope so. I mean, it's a bit of a mooch down from Darlington down to Merseyside, but nonetheless, FA Cup week, you would hope so.
Well, it's getting to a decent point, really. It is the second qualifying round. So win this, you've only got to win another 2 more games to get into the first proper round of the FA Cup.
That's an absolute mooch, that.
Oh,
I don't know why anybody could be bothered. I think I've run out of patience after a while. Just get me on the BBC.
Yeah, but listen, Skem did it a few seasons ago, didn't
I know we did.
Ended up playing Harrogate Town.
Was that on the telly as well?
It was on BBC iPlayer.
Fabulous.
And they made a few bob from that
I
as
should
well.
hope
So it's always good for clubs in the lower leagues. Congleton Town versus Chorley. Curzon Ashton versus Hebburn Town. And now the really interesting one is the Enfield versus Enfield Town derby. I don't know whether I doubt they've ever played each other in the FA Cup before, but I've not really done my research on that, but that sounds like one hell of a tie.
That'll be a belter of a game, that one. That'll be an all-out war between the two teams there for the bragging rights, really.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Radcliffe Borough versus Southport. Difficult game for Southport because we've reported in the league they'd not done particularly well. The second from bottom with just 4 points, but it has to be said that they managed to scrape a 0-0 draw against leaders South Shields on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was a really impressive result that should give them a great deal of confidence going into this game against Radcliffe. That said, it's a very tough away fixture, particularly as Anthony Johnson and Bernard Morley seem to have built a really strong team, and the thinking is that they're going to push on a little bit after struggling a little bit and skirting with relegation last season.
Radcliffe, yeah, they've certainly turned the tide as far as results go. So they whipped Marine on Saturday by 4-1.
Well, we were going to mention that. I mean, it was an extremely heavy defeat. It's but listen, we'll come to that in a minute.
We will, yeah. But they're in ninth in the National League North, which is that's heavyweight. That is, whereas Southport are a little bit adrift in that league, second from bottom with just the 4 points gained. Now we know it's very early on in the season, but Johnson and Morley are settled now. They've got a settled squad. They're settled in their own management ways, whereas Southport still feeling themselves out. New management in Neil Downs, new ownership in there as well. They're still kind of in the turbulence of transition at this point. And I feel like this is probably, it's going to be a very difficult fixture, and you would hope very much that they would draw purely on the performance against South Shields, who, as we said, sat top of the National League North.
I think at best they hope for a replay, get them back to Southport and turn them over there. But listen, we talked about Marine quite often. They lost again at the weekend, like you just said, to Radcliffe.
Yeah.
There's a fair bit of work to be done there. But with the silly season in full flow, as I mentioned before, you'd have to worry about whether Bobby Wright gets the time to shape his team.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I think he will.
Yeah, the thing is that I don't think they're doing nearly as badly as what has been mentioned. So they're in 18th out of 24 teams right now, okay? They've had 3 wins, no draws, 5 losses, 9 goals scored, 9 goals conceded. So clearly there's a bit of a difficulty there up front. And I think Bobby Grant, as a striker, is finding that all the more
well, we mentioned it last week. Maybe he should turn himself back on.
He probably should do, yeah. But the manner in which they're conceding goals of late as well will be all the more difficult for him as well. So 4-1 against Radcliffe last week, 4-1 against Darlington the week before. Those were the 2 kind of very heavy defeats. Otherwise, it's been quite narrow. So they've got Newcastle Blue Star in the second qualifying round this Saturday before games against Kings Lynn Town and Macclesfield. So they've still got their work cut out.
Is it a distraction, the FA Cup, for them? Does it give them a pleasant diversion, or is it just they're looking at a really tough fixture up there in the northeast?
Well, yeah, I mean, it really depends on Newcastle Blue Star.
It could set them up well for getting back into business in the league.
Yeah, it could do. Yeah.
So it can help the FA Cup, can't it? It can be a good distraction at this stage.
Yeah, I would hope you're right. Anyway, Newcastle Blue Star, they're in the Northern League Division 1, which is that's the equivalent of that's the equivalent of the Northwest Counties, isn't it? Really, the Northern League. So they finished 4th there. So there's a couple of divisions. Between them, you would hope very much that this proves a bit of a mood-turning game, if you like.
It's got to come somewhere, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, FC United, we're moving to the the Premier Division, the top of the Premier Division.
Yeah.
They've had a reasonably good week. They won 2-0 at home to Cleethorpes at the weekend.
Yeah.
And they followed that up with a 0-0 draw at Workington midweek. It's never easy to go to Workington midweek, but even though Workington are lower down in the division, it's still a good result for them.
I think I think that the term is business as usual, really. I mean, we know that Workington is never a particularly nice place to go, but Workington are 3rd from bottom of the table, whereas FC United of Manchester, with that win, they consolidated top of the table ahead of Lancaster City. Now, only by goal difference are they ahead, but nonetheless... With a game in hand, it has to be said, yeah. But a couple of weeks ago, they had a loss to Ashton United, so they needed to kind of shrug that off, really. So the game against Cleethorpes Town, which they won 2-0, and then the midweek game, the draw against Workington, puts them on steadier ground ahead of the qualifying match against Chadderton, when they then afterwards they face Morpeth Town and Rushall Olympic, 2 really solid sides as far as the league is concerned. Rushall in 6th, and then Morpeth down in 20th. But take that at your peril, really.
Yeah. And listen, to lighten the mood a little bit, we'll come to the light. We'll come to the light before the
dark.
After the dark, and talk about Hyde United.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the board at Hyde United have announced reluctantly that they received the resignation of first team manager Nick Spooner with immediate effect. If you want to,
yeah. So it comes as a bit of a shock to the board. I think it comes as a bit of a shock to the fans as well. They weren't doing badly at all with Hyde. They were 17th out of 21 teams, 2 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses, which isn't a bad start to the season. Obviously, we know that teams like this, they need time to turn it around. But if you kind of look at the results that they've had and the teams that they've played, so they lost to Leighton Town in what proved to be Spooner's final game. They drew with Hebburn. They beat Prescott Cables in the FA Cup. They lost to Ilkeston, beat Whitby Town, lost to Guiseley. So. And lost to Cleethorpes, but they did beat Lancaster City on the opening game. So I think it was far too early for Spooner's go. I would hope that this is not because the pressure of managing Hyde United got to him, because he's done a sterling job so far,
and he's done it just before. They play Whitby Town at home in the FA Cup.
Yeah, Whitby, who are in the same league but a handful of places above them, and that will really affect their preparation for this game, and it makes the odds a little bit more against them by not having their gaffer in the dugout. It's come as a bit of a shock to the fans as well.
There's no explanation, no.
Not really, no. To Nick's first team coach Gavin McCann, he's also left the club. Nick came into the club in February 2022, saved them from relegation, and then 2 successive 6th place finishes. First Cheshire Senior Cup title for nearly 30 years, with a win over Crewe Alexandra on that run as well. Reached 2 Manchester Premier Cup finals as well. Nick said that it's been an absolute privilege to manage this football club over the number of years. He's appreciated all the backing from the board and the supporters from minute one. We have had some great times, but it's the right moment for me to step back and give the opportunity to someone else to take the team forward. In the interim, the first team will be led by Martin Coyne and Chris Shaw, and then first team captain Jack Redshaw.
Very sad, but probably as honest as we're going to get.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's. It's clearly a very amicable decision, despite it being not one that anybody expected, and I don't think we'll hear much in the way of controversy coming out of it moving forward.
No. A big club that sort of consistently is underperforming over the last few years. It'd be good to see Hyde do particularly well.
Yeah, it would be. I think it's a big town. Is Hyde, right on the edge of the Peak District. But it's got a good following as well. Well placed in the league so far. So you'd hope that this interim team would stabilise things and kick them on before a new manager is announced.
Yeah. So moving on to a slightly lighter thing. Yeah. I picked up a story the other day. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Do you want to? So some big fancy words in there, so I'll leave that to you.
Just a little. So
this is an interesting one though, because I've seen the picture of everybody lying on the pitch, and I wondered what was going on.
And what it actually was a swarm of bees flying across the pitch at the Kwara Stadium in the Tanzanian town of Babati. and it sparked a few chaotic scenes, if you like. So they were locked in a 1-1 draw going into the 77th minute when players from both sides dropped to the turf under instruction from match official as bees descended on the field. As to dropping to the floor did a camera operator and an assistant referee. Remarkably, the fans in attendance remained seated. Pardon me. But also, it may have been possible that they just didn't know that the bees were there. No official statement was made regarding how the bees' unexpected presence came to be, but local
came to be.
Yeah, came to be. Very, very, very good. But local media outlet Afrism claimed unusual weather patterns through the week may have triggered the chaos. But eventually the bees dispersed and the contest resumed. But the two teams, JKU FC and City FC Abuja, carried on playing, and City FC Abuja scored a winner following the delay, and Afrism reported that no player, official or supporter was stung by a bee.
Well, that's a sort of nice story to...
Yeah, it gives you a bit of a giggle, and it quite nicely...
segue into a little bit more controversial stuff now, because we're moving on to, rather than go straight into a second part, this is the second part of the show, and we'll talk about Skelmersdale United Football Club. And our defeat at the weekend. We were both there, sat in the stand. What I wanted to mention before we go any further, I spoke to the linesman after the game, or assistant referee, whatever you want to call him. There was an incident towards the end of the game. I think we both seen it. The left back swung out with the outside of his hand, almost in a slap style, and knocked one of our players to the ground. I don't know whether it was a bit melodramatic. I thought it was a little bit handbags myself, but I would have imagined that at very least it would have been a caution. It should have been, by the rule of the rule book, it should have been a sending off. That never happened. So when I spoke to him, I asked him the reason why a card or a sending off hadn't been ordered. He turned around and said, well, I didn't actually see it because I had my head down to the ground. So then I suggested to him that, well, maybe if you hadn't have been wearing a baseball cap, you would have been able to see what was going on around you. And he said, listen, I'll think about that. I'll take that on board. Nice. Now, it made me question whether there's actually a rule in the rule book that says that anybody on a football pitch can't wear a baseball cap.
Well, no, because our own goalkeepers worn them at times.
Yeah, keepers. You expect keepers, don't you? Outfield players, heading balls, no. So you wouldn't see that. A referee, if it's, you can understand if it's protecting, say, a bald head, we can turn it round the other way. Yeah. Shielding you from the rays of the sun. Yeah, it was particularly, and we know at this time of the year the sun is relatively low, isn't it? So it's worse on the eyes.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was right.
No.
Use your hand.
No. I think wearing a hat is reasonably justified, but you've got to make up for that by being extra alert to what's going on around you. I think there's only a very minor danger that he's going to get hit in the head with an errant ball at any given point, and it's his responsibility to protect himself from the sun and from the ball, which is fine. But he's also got a responsibility to make sure that this doesn't impede his view of the game. Now, unfortunately, at this level, we cannot reasonably report back that he wore a cap and it impeded his ability to see the game. Did you do that?
Yes. Right. And he's been told not to wear one in future.
Oh, has he?
Yes. Not naming names, but that's
very interesting, because how do you then manage when the sun is directly in your eyes and you can't see anything? You can't be expected to run along with your hand cupped over your eyes, can you?
We shouldn't be looking up at the sun for starters, should you?
Well, no, of course not unless the ball's sort of up there, or the player who was in question 6'4", as this one was, then you've
6'5".
Well, you've got to look up then, haven't you? Really?
Most definitely.
But
Listen,
nonetheless,
not complaining about the result.
No.
There's absolutely no doubt about it that Sefton, far better team, played far better than us.
Yeah.
We just didn't seem to be up for the game at all.
We didn't click, did we?
In any area?
No, we didn't. Unfortunately, they were from the off. They were looking to give us a game. They were well drilled. They knew what they were about in terms of performance and cohesion with each other. They chased the game a lot. They were fit. They wanted the ball. And we couldn't really seem to get out of our half at all. We had a couple of opportunities, or sort of half opportunities. Don't get me wrong, but we were 2-0 down in the first half, and I think we were just fighting a bit of a battle after that.
And lacking firepower, really, weren't we?
We were lacking firepower. We were lacking. The ability to move the ball up the pitch from the base of the midfield. Our wingers just tried, but there just wasn't that spark that there usually is, and we didn't really see a sight of goal up until about an hour into the game. So it was a desperately disappointing day for us, and I think one that the coaching staff will admit was a bit of a poor performance by all accounts.
Yeah, no, being our very first game at the Marine Travel Arena, we were expecting a better result. A crowd of 84, a little bit disappointing. In terms of covering costs, we're nowhere near covering costs at that level of spectators.
No, I think the raffle helped. So
it certainly did.
The halftime raffle really helped. So thank you, Andrew, for putting that on for us.
And for the Lucan brothers
for selling the tickets. Yeah, so a very disappointing day all around. Unfortunately, not the way that we'd wanted to start our residency at the Marine Travel Arena, and it means that we are unfortunately at the bottom of the table. That being said, though, there are 4 teams above us who are yet to win a game. And one other.
There's two. One of them's left the league, so.
3. Sorry, 3 teams who are yet to win a game, and one other team that's failed to collect a point. With that being said, we've only played 2 games, which is less than everybody else in the division.
Can we seek solace at all in the fact that the 2 teams that have beaten us, Joey Oars, have played 4 games. Collected 12 points. Sefton Athletic, after their win against us, they've had 3 consecutive victories and they're on 9 points. Can we take anything out of that?
Yeah, I think we can. I think Joey Oars and Sefton Athletic, they're both teams that have got a long tradition of being in this division. They're well drilled, they're well organised, they were fit, they were up for it. They had a bit of aggression where we are maybe lacking in it. They were big teams with big players, particularly their strikers. I think we can probably seek a bit more solace in the Joey Oars game, in that we probably should have taken something from that game.
Yeah, we didn't deserve to win it, but we didn't deserve to lose either.
No, but they were fair play. They did get their win, and they both Sefton and Joey Oars had big, powerful strikers who could run aplenty, and it seems to be a bit of an Achilles heel for us at this moment in time.
An interesting tie this weekend really is Joey Oars versus the Grenadier. So the Grenadier are in 3rd place. They're unbeaten, 3 wins, 9 points. So that'll be an interesting match there.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to drop points.
They certainly will. So the Grenadier, I think, finished 2nd last season, and Joey Oars finished 5th. So this is a bit more of an indicator as to which one of these teams may sustain their title ambitions moving forward. Obviously, it's very early in the season. There's still an awful lot to play for, but this is probably one of the biggest tests of the weekend to see which teams go where.
And Waterloo, Doc, they play Granby Toxteth Athletic.
Yeah.
Not much between the two teams?
No, so 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss for Waterloo Dock and Granby Toxteth. 1 win and 3 losses. So patchy and inconsistent form for both of them, although I think they've both had sort of quite difficult fixtures to navigate through in these opening couple of games. But both starting to seem to get their act together recently. So it could be an interesting game, that one. Maybe a draw to come out of it.
And the final fixture
right?
in the Premier Division is our own FC Nelgo versus Skem. So we take the trip up to Alder Lane for a 2:00 kickoff on Saturday. Liverpool Nelgo, they played 4-1-2, drawn 1 and lost 1. So on 7 points in 4th position. A tough game, and as we know, Nalgo finished second, was it, in the league?
I believe they did finish second last season. Yeah, so plenty to play for them. I think they were one of the teams that lost to Joey Orrs straight from the off. So they'll be looking to catch up on that chasing pack of Joeys and Sefton and the Grenadier. We're still figuring things out by all accounts. We hope to have a much more improved performance this game, but we're a big name, and teams like to scout big names like ours. So
well, listen, we know that Sefton would have been really up for coming to our place. It's like playing on Wembley in Liverpool, isn't it? Really, apart from the 3 big stadiums in the city itself, you couldn't get much. You couldn't get much better than the Marines ground.
No.
The disappointment for us, of course, is we get off to a really good win there, and next time round you get a bigger audience. That's the hope. So we've got to start winning somewhere along the line to start attracting people to the games. But listen, that's a difficult game. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It'll be played on grass, so a little bit of different sort of environment for us at the moment, because so far I think we've played
AstroTurf and 3G.
Played on AstroTurf so far, so yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see how we go.
Certainly will.
Which leaves it the only other fixtures left in the Liverpool County Premier are Liverpool County FA Saturday Challenge Cup games. Sefton Athletic at home to Eagles Sports, Daysbrook at home to East Villa Rail, St Michael's at home to River Football, and Halewood Apollo at home to MSB Woolton Reserves. We got a bye in the first round.
Radical. Look at that.
Yeah, so there we've won that game. Technically.
We have won.
So listen, moves us on to the roundup of the fixtures, our predictions and expert analysis as normal, if you want to call it that.
Most certainly.
But listen, we'll rush through a few of our predictions. FC United versus Chadderton in the FA Cup. Your thought process there is that maybe Chadderton have got more of a chance against FC United than Atherton have against Macclesfield, but I'm going to go for a draw.
Okay. I think that for Chadderton, they'll enjoy this day out, whatever happens. But I think they'll want to go there and cause a bit of a shock. Try and get FC United and Manchester on the back foot. I don't know whether it'll work though. FC United and Manchester sitting top of the Northern Premier League proper. Doing some serious bits there. So I am still going to say a home win though.
Okay, fair enough. Macclesfield versus Atherton LR. I so want Davey to win that one, but I can't see it happening.
I think this one is a bit more of it's a much more of a trickier game. And it's clearly the biggest of.
Well, it's National League North versus North West Counties Premier, so there's a bigger sort of gap between them two than there is with FC.
2 divisions, isn't it? But with that in mind, Atherton won't make it easy for Macclesfield at all. So I am still going to say a Macclesfield win, but it's not going to be big. 1 or 2 in it.
You know what? I'm going to go for a draw again. I don't think either team will eventually win the game, but I think they could master a draw there.
Well, all right.
Certainly if people take things for granted. So moving on to the Premier Division of the North West Counties, Abbey Hay versus FC St Helens.
FC St Helens doing loads of bits at the minute. Can't see them losing that one. Away win for me.
Yeah, I'll go with you for that. Burscough versus Cheadle Town. I don't think that's as easy as it sounds on paper.
It's not, no.
But I'm going for Burscough.
So am I.
Brilliant. Exton Villa versus Earlham. I'm going for Earlham.
I am also going for Earlham.
Brilliant. Remica versus Glossop North End. Well, listen, this is an opportunity for him to get back to winning ways, but it's going to be a really, really difficult game.
Yeah, Remy are going to be out for blood, aren't they, really? I mean, they're sitting second from bottom as it is, so they're already struggling. They're just going to want, something from this game. I suppose both teams are going to want something from this game that's quite substantial. I suppose from Glossop's point of view, they're scoring a few more goals even though Riley is gone. But their defence is just as good as Remy's. So my head is saying a draw, but I'm going to root on the side of emotion here and go away win. I just want to back Brodie to get something.
Yeah, well, listen, Remy are second from bottom alongside FC Isle of Man. So yeah, I'm going for Glossop North End.
Cool.
In the hope our friend will turn things around. Padiham versus City of Liverpool. Can only see one winner there.
Yep, City of Liverpool.
Yeah. Pilks versus Longridge Town. I'm going for Longridge Town.
Yes, I'm also going to go for Longridge Town there.
Prestwich Hayes versus South Liverpool. Topsy-turvy, South Liverpool, but they're up there, middle of the table.
I saw Hayes' game against Earlham at the weekend. I saw bits and parts of it, and they actually were on the front foot for quite a lot of that game. So with that in mind, I'm going to say Prestwich Hayes are going to win that one.
Okay, I'm going for South Liverpool. Ramsbottom United versus Stockport Town.
That's a home win.
Yeah, just looking at Stockport Town.
God, they're fifth. Where are they coming from?
Listen, I'm going for a draw. You're going for Ramsbottom.
I am.
Yeah. West Didsbury and Chorlton versus Barnoldswick Town. Barnoldswick Town, another team that have just let the manager go. Yeah. We didn't mention that, did we?
No, we absolutely didn't. But even so, they're 17th in the league, and they didn't. I don't think they finished particularly high last time. So they're one of those teams that we don't really mention an awful lot. But 2 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses. And the manager's sort of gone from there.
We'll have to get the new manager on the show as and when he's in situ.
Yeah,
so West Didsbury and Chorlton, I'm going for West Didsbury.
So am I.
Wythenshawe versus AFC Liverpool. I don't think things changing at all here. For AFC Liverpool, so I'm going for Wythenshawe. Yeah. Who are you?
I am also going for Wythenshawe.
FC Isle of Man versus Charnock Richard. You just seem to think it's
just Charnock Richard, and unfortunately that probably says something about the sorry events that are going on over the other side of the sea. Really, we wish Paul Jones the very, very best for each game, but
because his job was under review the other day, wasn't it?
His job is going to be under review in the next couple of months.
Listen, I'm going to give FC Isle of Man the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say that Charnock Richard won't be good travellers. And FC Isle of Man will get their act together. So I'm going for FC Isle of Man.
So. Yeah, the review's due to take place in the coming months. It hasn't taken place just yet. The statement came out saying, we're going to do a review.
All right. Okay, I thought it was a little bit earlier than that. But anyway, listen, we move on to First Division North. AFC Blackpool versus Garstang.
Away win.
Yeah, they're both there together, aren't they? I'm going for a draw.
You're going to go for a draw there.
Yeah. Ashton Athletic versus Nelson.
Away win.
Yeah, I go for that as well. Cone versus Squires Gate.
Home win for me.
I'm going to go for a draw again there.
Fine.
Droylsden versus Baker Borough.
Yeah, home win for that.
Yeah, I'll go along with that as well.
The battle of the promotion teams.
Yeah. Fullwood Amateurs versus MSB Walton, the 2 newcomers to the division.
Yes, quite so.
One really, really struggling in the shape of MSB Walton. Fullwood Amateurs doing okay. They're not doing too bad. 2 wins, 3 draws, only 1 loss.
Yeah. You'd be minded to say Fulwood Amateurs, particularly with home advantage, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, MSP Walton are not scoring many goals, so I'm going for Fulwood.
Fulwood Amateurs are scoring goals. They've got the third highest scorers in the division.
So it's Fulwood for you as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Holker Old Boys versus Ashton Town. I think this is an interesting fixture because I think Ashton are probably starting to get things together a little bit.
They're starting to pull it together, aren't they? They've had a couple of good enough results. Goal scoring's been thin on the ground, but so has concession of goals as well. 6 each, whatever way you look at it. Holker Old Boys scored 13, conceded 5. I'm going to say a draw. This one.
Right, I'm going to go for Ashton, and you're going for a draw.
Yeah.
McGull versus Daisy Hill.
Well, I just want McGull to win.
Yeah,
I'm just a petty little slot.
Yeah, we'll both go for McGull then. Well, listen, I can genuinely see McGull pulling off a
Joey
good
Burns.
It's a little bit too early for Nicky Hunt yet, isn't it?
It is a little bit too early for Nicky Hunt, whereas Joey Burns knows what he's doing with these boys. You know, he knows them. He's coached them for a good couple of years now. Remember, he's still got Brannigan and Till up the front, so you know I expect him to kind of get back to winning ways. Yeah.
Main Road versus Thornton Cleveleys.
Thornton Cleveleys.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Steeton versus Darwen. This is a really interesting one.
Belter.
But Steeton are doing really well, aren't they? But they're not scoring a great deal of goals.
No,
but they're not conceding many either. They've only conceded 5 in 6 games.
That's the best in the division.
Yeah, and they've scored 8.
They've scored 8. Yeah, they only seem to score 1 or 2 per game. I'm going to go for a draw there.
And Darwin's quite tight, isn't it? You know, 6 goals scored, 7 goals conceded. They both seem to have similar problems scoring.
Yeah, goal scoring just seems to be difficult for quite a few teams in this division.
That's got a draw in all over it for me, so I'm going for a draw.
Then, fine.
You go for a draw as well?
I am.
Yep. So we move on to Division 1. South Barnton versus Wolverhampton Sporting Wanderers.
Sporting Community.
The Sporting Community, does it say?
Yes.
Oh, yes, indeed. My eyes are blurred. Right, okay, yeah. So the Sporting Community are second from bottom with 3 points, just above Hormond. I'm determined to keep getting that right from now on. But Barnton play at the Creative Hut Stadium. I would love to know what that's all about. I'm going to find out when I can. But Barnton are up there, 14 points, just on the fringe of the playoffs. I'm going for Barnton.
I am going for Barnton too.
Brilliant. Camel Laird versus Sandbach United.
This is really irritating because Camel Laird will just come out with the most random result by sort of stuffing Stafford Town by 4-0, but then will lose to Hormond by 1-0. They're just dead inconsistent for a team that has a really good result in them. Whereas Sandbach, they won 9-0 the other week, but then they also lost to Wolverhampton Sporting Community themselves, I think it was.
I think just purely down to the fact that they've only conceded 8 goals, Sandbach, whereas Camel Laird have conceded 16. So, that's double what they've... I'm going for Sandbach.
So am I, yeah.
Good. Cheadle Heath Nomads versus Alsager Town.
Draw.
Yeah, listen, I'll go along with that as well. Eccleshall versus Runcorn Town. I'm going for Runcorn Town. Yeah?
Yes.
Good. Foley Mere versus New Mills.
Foley Mere are just another weird team with just irritating, throw-you-off results.
But New Mills are doing relatively well.
New Mills are doing steady enough. They're in 4th.
They've only lost 1 game.
Yeah,
1-4, draw 3.
Yeah, they are a bit drawy. So I'm going to go for a draw at Trentham Food Stadium.
Right, so you're going for a draw. Okay, Trentham Food Stadium. Yeah. Market Drayton Town versus Allscott Heath.
I'm going to go for a home win on that one. I want Market Drayton and Dan Dawson to do some bits this weekend. So you go, gents. Go for a home win at the Greenfield.
I'm going with you for that
with
one.
the Muller corner effect in the middle.
Yeah.
In the corner.
Shawbury United versus Asheville.
Yeah, just another.
Similar records, really. There's
Asheville in 11th, Shawbury in... I think it'll be a bit of a draw, really, isn't it?
Right.
What are we...
Asheville, Shawbury.
I'm saying a draw.
Yeah, go on then. I'll join you for a draw. So Stafford Town versus Ormond.
That's not going to be a draw.
No, that's not going to be a draw. That's going to be Stafford.
Ormond are going to win 7-0. Sorry, that's mean. Stafford Town to win.
Yeah.
For me.
Wolverhampton Casuals versus Stockport Georgians.
I'm going to say an away win.
Yeah,
Wolverhampton Casuals are a bit irritating when it comes to results like this, but have a bit of a leaky defence, whereas Stockport Georgians are steady enough on the goals front, so I'm going to say an away win there.
Yeah. Listen, we're not going to go too much into detail with next week's fixtures, but there is a full sort of fixture list in the Premier Division
on the Tuesday,
and the First Division South will be playing on the Tuesday as well.
They will.
I just wonder why they. Oh, listen, that was the question I was going to ask before, and I forgot to ask. So Droylsden didn't compete in the FA Cup this season. Does anybody know why?
Ooh.
Did they not get their application in time, or is there a reason why they're not competing in the FA Cup?
I'll have an answer for you by next week's show.
Right. So that will be a controversial
That's my homework.
part that will open next week's show.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, looking at next week's fixtures, I'm just trying to think if there's anything there that stands out.
Yeah, Ramsbottom versus Burscough.
Yeah, Ramsbottom versus Burscough. That's going to be a difficult game, but listen, it'll be a good test of credentials there. Both teams in the top 5.
Certainly are.
Yeah. I'm not going to predict that one though.
Are we not?
No, I think it's unfair to predict those games because we won't know the results of the weekend games, will we? Really. Gives you a better judge, doesn't it? So we'll predict them quickly then. AFC Liverpool,
Thank you.
FC Isle of Man, AFC Liverpool for me.
Yeah, home win for me.
Atherton LR versus Netherland.
Home win for
Netherland.
me.
Yeah. Chadderton versus. We're going to go all
home
the
win.
same way. Yeah, home win. Charnock Richard versus Padiham.
Away win.
Yeah, away win. City of Liverpool versus Pilks.
Away win.
Yeah, crikey. I'm going along with it on that one as well. FC St Helens versus Wythenshawe.
Draw.
I think Wythenshawe will win that. You're going for a draw.
Yeah.
Glossop North End versus Prestwich Hayes.
Draw.
I'm going for. I'm definitely going for Brodie's team there. Earlham versus West Didsbury.
That's going to be a great game, that one.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But I'm going for Earlham.
I also am going for Earlham.
Longridge Town versus Barnoldswick.
Draw.
Draw. Yeah, I'll go for a draw. Ramsbottom versus Burscough. I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm also going to go for a draw, but that's going to be a hell of a game, that one.
Yeah. Just skipped one there, by the way. Monday night, 15th of September, Cheadle Heath Nomads versus Runcorn Town. I'm going for Runcorn Town on that one.
So am I. They're going to kick on with their little promotion charge. They're going to win against Cheadle Heath Nomads at the Ideal Building System Stadium. That is my belief.
Yeah. So we move on to First Division South. Allscott Heath versus Shawbury. I'm going for Shawbury.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw.
You're going for a draw just to be controversial. Alsager versus Eccleshall. I'm going for Eccleshall.
I'm going for Eccleshall too.
Horman, I nearly got it wrong again, versus Wolverhampton Casuals. I'm going for Wolverhampton Casuals. Yeah, New Mills versus Stockport Georgians. That's an interesting one because that's 4th versus 5th. That could change over the weekend. I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm also going to go for a
Sandbach
draw.
Sandbach United versus Market Drayton Town. I'm going for a draw on that one.
I'm going to go for Sandbach.
You're going for Sandbach. Wolverhampton Sporting Community versus Foley Mere. I think Foley Mere are just going to pip that one.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great game, this one.
Oh, well, yeah. Listen, this is a top of the table clash before we
Two top of the towns, yes.
Yeah, Stafford Town versus Telford Town. Very much close proximity.
Well, Telford's down in Shropshire and Stafford's in Staffordshire. Bit of a mooch.
I'd like to know her. I'd like to know whether there's a great deal of distance between the two.
Google Maps. We'll tell
you do Google Maps while I waffle on.
Fine.
You do Google Maps. So Stafford versus Telford Town, like we say, that is 2nd versus 3rd. Of course, I would imagine Telford will be keen to get back to winning ways. So I'm hoping that they will, in light of the fact that we'll be interviewing their manager, Matthew Boswell.
Well, we hope so.
Hopefully the following day. So hopefully he'll be, happy as Larry.
It's 40 minutes.
40 minutes? How many miles?
Yeah, down the M6 and then the A5.
So how many miles is that?
What?
How many miles away?
What, from us?
No, from
each other?
Yeah.
25.
I didn't think it was that far.
No.
No, I thought it was less than that.
I thought it was. I knew it was a mooch.
Fair dues. Listen, Stafford Town versus Telford. Who are you going for? Difficult one.
I'm
going for a draw.
I'm going to say Stafford purely because they tend to start these seasons really well. They've still got Patrick Mazurkiewicz and it's home advantage. That's the only reasons. And even then, I might be incorrect on a couple of those. I think it'll be 1-0.
So when Telford win it or draw...
Then I owe Matthew Boswell a pint.
Yeah, you certainly do. So let's move it on to the Lancashire...
This would have been a great game to go and see them. Are you doing anything Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Don't say training.
Training.
Come on, we can go down to Stafford. We'll make a day of it. It'll be brilliant.
Listen, we'll definitely talk about that one. Yeah. Listen, I'll have to learn to. What's the word for it now? Delegate. I'll have to try and delegate so we can get to that match. Yeah, you're right. That would be a great game to go to, wouldn't it? Listen, Lancashire Challenge Trophy first round, Cone versus Nelson. Now that's a whopper of a derby, that really, in many ways, isn't it?
Yes, it will. That's the kind of thing where fights spill over onto the side of the M58.
We're not suggesting that you should.
No, we're not condoning violence.
So where are we going with that one?
Still going to be Nelson.
Yeah, I think we've got to go for Nelson just purely based on the fact that they're doing particularly well and Cone is sort of middle for diddle.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go for that. Listen, beyond that, we're recording on Wednesday anyway, so we're not going to go through the Wednesday's fixtures. But that rounds up all the fixtures.
Yeah.
And our predictions, of course, and our expert analysis, if you'd like to call it that. It's been an interesting show. What have you learned so far this week?
What have I learned this week?
Well, over the last week.
Yeah.
Not a lot by the sounds of the silence.
Eat your vegetables.
Yeah. Eat your brain foods.
Eat your brain foods, sure. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this so many times in the situationship of Skelmersdale United, but I think it's becoming much more apparent to teams on a kind of wider aperture from where we're sitting here, is that even though you have money to play with, don't for 1 second think that it's guaranteed to A, get you success, or B, be prolonged.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're looking at teams now who are financially getting themselves into a bit of a sticky spot, having unloaded a ton of money in seasons gone by, hoping that it will get them success. And it didn't, and then they've lost a bit of it.
But we also have clubs that start with a really, really decent budget, and then they see how things are going, and then if it's not going particularly well, or they feel as though they've reached the level where they want to stay, they reduce the budget, and that's difficult for a manager then, and a coaching team as well.
It is very difficult for a manager as well. Yeah, I suppose the other thing is keep your enemies closer.
Yeah, and listen, as far as I'm concerned, and what I've learned so far this week is that sorry.
Yeah, what you learned? What have you learned?
Oh yeah, sorry, I've learned that mental health in football is very seldom talked about. I don't think it's talked about much. I've mentioned it myself before, but we don't really often talk about how it affects managers and coaches and the amount of effort that they put into it. And I think it's only fair to sort of part, on this show talking about Lee Hill, because a lot has been made of Lee Hill with the interview, and obviously his second at Daisy Hill, and the effort, the kind of effort that he put in to that football club, as we mentioned. He used to take the kit to the laundrette. He'd clean the change. He'd do everything, the fundraising. He would be heavily involved in that football club, probably more heavily involved in a football club than most managers would be. That's normally left down to the directors and the chairman. So I've learned that alone, when you put that amount of effort into being successful with a football club and trying to bring the right man in, and then the rug is pulled from your feet. It's a very harsh business. We know that, but it's even more harsh on the mental health. Big upmanship to the managers, because they take an awful lot of stick, and it hurts when you lose your job. It ultimately hurts. There's no doubt about that.
100%.
Yeah. So on that point, I'll leave the final words to the dulcet tones of AJ.
You've been listening to the Speaking Frankly Football Show with me, AJ Vergette, and my co-host, Mr. Frank Hughes. This episode and all other episodes are available on most streaming services, wherever you get your podcasts, including Amazon Music and Spotify. Please rate and review, as we do thrive off hearing your feedback. Please also subscribe to us so that you can be the one of the first to hear when a new episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show has been released. We are also available on social media platforms, most pertinently X and Facebook, under the banner term Speaking Frankly Football Show. And so from me, AJ, and him, Frank, we will see you next week for another episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show. Until then, bye-bye for now.
A heartfelt shout out to all the businesses supporting Skelmersdale United Football Club, especially T&W Garners and Pedro de Seda Enterprises. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles, lottery bonus ball scheme and the weekly draw in conjunction with NYCBA. A special thanks to those who organise such fundraising events, with a particular mention for the incredible Lee Davis and Rowena Hughes. To everyone who stands by us both on and off the pitch, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutbfc@gmail.com, or alternatively call me on 077 66 054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support.